Forgot one more button. Okay, now we're ready. Hi, welcome everybody. Welcome back to another Catharsis Healing Talk. This one is what we refer to as a mini talk, so possibly a little shorter than our full-length talks. And
sorry.
yeah, you never know.
It's all good.
And we're going to end more spontaneous. We're just going to go live when inspiration strikes. So keep an eye on our channels and our newsletter, and we'll update you on all these things. Today we are going to talk about shamanic initiations to the source of happiness and power. Kay has created that description for the level 1 class, the apprenticeship level 1, which is starting in a month, about a month, a little more. And we wanted to dive into that a little more, what that actually means, what that describes, and what it offers to people, why, what it brings to people, what these initiations are, and what people get from it. So
in 20 minutes or less.
Yeah, sure.
Maybe 15.
Yeah, maybe 50. We can come back and talk more about it.
You take your time, my love. Let's dive in. Hi, Laura. Hi, Kate. Hi, everybody. Enjoy.
Shamanic initiations. We'll start with that. What is that? Most people don't really know what that is. They might think it's some kind of in-crowd, a special ceremony thing that they do, and then that means that they're all good and learned something, passed with a good grade kind of thing. That's not the way it is. It's not the way it is with shamanism at all. What a shamanic initiation is, it is a ceremony. It's always ceremonialized, kind of ritualized, and it is the passing on from teacher to the student, to the apprentice. And it's a passing on energetically, which is, that's the heart of it. That's the important piece. And it's the knowledge that the teacher is carrying and the kind of energy that they have, energies and initiations they got from their teachers and their teachers back another generation and back and back and back for thousands of years. And it's passing this energy, the patterns, the information that energy carries, it's passing that along. And along with that comes different, more physical 3D time space kind of instructions, how to do things in this ceremonial way, how to pass it on to the next people, that kind of thing. And it could take 5 minutes, or it could take days. It could be an initiation that takes days and days and days. So that's a big piece that most people don't realize, that it is this energetic passing on of something very special, a knowledge and an energetic teaching of the student's body and their spirit, their mind. And we don't see a lot of real initiations in the modern world. The word might be used, it gets used a great deal these days in the spiritual community, but it's often not the whole thing. It's not the real thing. So what this is definitely the real thing that has been passed on and on for so many generations, passed to the next generation and taught things that they need to know about this information, about this energy, what to do with it, how to use it, how to heal with it, how to help others with it, how to teach the next students for the next generation, and how to pass the initiation on. And with these energetic things, there's always a level of happiness. There's always a level of peace, an interior quiet. But at the same time, there's a great deal of passion. There's a great deal of love. And there's happiness that is of all kinds of different levels of happiness, different flavors of happiness. And that's another really big part of the true initiation. It cuts right past your daily anxiety and all the masky things that you're going through, the society's programming. If you enter into this initiation ceremony and you're all wigged out, it very quickly puts you in another vibration. It settles you down and concentrates your attention on the moment, and that gets passed on to the next students and the next students. So that's one thing, one reason we call it initiation into happiness. The level of happiness sometimes could be so extraordinary, it's ecstatic. And that's what a lot of early anthropologists used to describe this way of being, this kind of a practice, this way of doing healings on people, that these are the ecstatic arts, that it makes the practitioner very peaceful and at the same time very much in love with life and very, very passionate about what they're doing, the ceremony itself, that it's getting passed on, seeing other new people, students, being able to take it on and integrate it and go through the changes that happen with a real initiation. So, what do you think?
I love that description. I mean, and I hadn't heard that way of describing initiation before, but it makes so much more. I've always been challenged with how to explain to people what this is, because it's so different the way it's taught and practiced and nurtured over time, and not a quickie weekend retreat kind of thing and a certificate. You really, so that I love the clarity of the language, to be able to really explain what you're stepping into. And, I love the call of your song, our first series of classes that give people a taste and it's a taste, but it's so impactful. We call it a taste because we know what's on the bigger end after 4 years of studying this, and what just how you deeper dive. But those 5 classes in the Call of Your Song are so impactful to every human on this planet to just know more. But then getting into the level 1 apprenticeship is just restoring who you are. I mean, it's an initiation, but it truly it's I think Helmut said it, bringing ourselves back onto the web of life, reconnecting to something that's available to all of us that we've been disconnected from. It's just, it reclaims our health, it reclaims our happiness, but it's the way you teach it in this shamanic initiation is just, it just feels like we're coming around to our ancient roots again. Like we're really stepping back into what had belonged to us all along, and that disconnection, is what is we're from the web of life, from these senses that are available to us is such a root of so much of our unhappiness and our dishealth. And it's when you said too about that, I've had many times I've done energy work and healings on people. And they've said, oh, I'm, thank you. I'm sure you're exhausted from it. And it's like, no, I'm higher than a kite. I'm like, who's next? Who else wants this energy? It's delicious. It's beautiful. The only thing I ever get tired of is still holding my focus to work on people. My brain gets tired. This is like, who's next? Because every time I work on somebody or sharing of this life energy has to come through me, and dancing on the web of life is just, every being highly empathic and breaking those habits, which you can break. And that's part of the learning in this is breaking those habits. And it's, you as a former empath, you're always nervous about connecting, and being drained of it. And you just, once you get past that curve of not doing that anymore and doing this, it's like that the connection is just the polar opposite. It's just feeds you. You just light up and you want more, and you want to learn more and do more. It's, there's the opposite of anything to be afraid of. It's just, you want to learn how to focus longer so you can spend more time feeling it all.
One thing that the initiations provide is that when you are engaged in these ceremonies and you're doing these kinds of practices, you're doing an energetic healing on another person or an animal or a plant or garden or anywhere, it, like you say, it feeds you. It feeds every part of you. And people in this spiritual community who have been dealing with a Muggle life, their whole lifetime, and training, and they were educated in a watered down tradition, a tradition that only has little pieces of the old truth, the old ways of doing this, and maybe they never got an initiation. When they're doing a healing on somebody else, we're trying to give them some kind of energetic understanding in a ceremony. They're pulling it out of their own body. They're giving the energy from themselves and their body and their mind, their spirit, and they're emptying their own stores of energies. And in the old way, you don't have to do that. You don't have it. That's not the best way to do it. It doesn't help the other person that much, and it certainly doesn't help you. It makes you sick. Um, and it's hard to regain after being depleted like that. But in these traditions, we learn, and through the initiations, we learn energetically, and then we learn technique to get the energies from the field, from everywhere, from the universe, and it's channeled. It moves through us, so we get some of it, and the rest of it goes to the client, the person they're trying to help, and you get fed, and you can do more and more and more of this. And like you were saying, you got to go all day, and then finally your mind is kind of tired, or you realize, oh, I didn't eat anything, or I haven't stopped to drink any water. And you've made yourself a little bit tired from the focusing, but you get filled up. You get filled up again very, very easily, very fast. So there's no way that you're going to deplete yourself. In fact, it's usually quite a gain, the gain of knowledge, what the other person's body, what the spirits tell you, what nature is telling you about the problem, and how it got there, and how to fix it, and how to remove it for good from this person that you're working on, or the whoever. And you would just end up with this enormous library in your own mind, in your own body field, of all kinds of true healing information, and information about how the world operates. Not the kind of things you've been told in school, because those are very often incorrect. Sometimes they're just only a little teeny piece of something that's correct, or something that's very, very physical, but without the spiritual or energetic pieces to go along with the rest of that story. And when we're doing these initiations to teach others, or doing healings on others, the whole story is really important. Every little bit of it, and all together, very holistic. It's very important to be that way.
You said that in the initiation part about teaching us too, how you teach, I mean, it's on all bodies.
Yes.
When you're sharing information.
Yeah, the ancients say we have a physical body, we have an emotional body, we have a mental body, and we have a spiritual body. And we're hitting all of it. And when we do a healing, we're engaging every level. So what we teach energetically at all levels, and giving that energy, we're trying to teach on that more physical, verbal level of the physicality of it all. We approach all levels of being. And that's very different from a lot of the modern teachings, because they lost those pieces. They don't know how to address everything on all those levels.
Yeah, you teach all those levels. I mean, you're teaching us all those levels, but when you said it, it was like so accurate, experiencing what you're offering us. I don't know how to explain it. Once you get further in the class, you can actually feel you offering the experience of teaching those levels so that we know how to teach those levels, or we understand it at all those levels. And I've had a lot of great teachers and other practices I've done, but it was like now having that awareness that wasn't there. It was, okay, you're the only one that's offered that, where you're really, I can't, you're energetically offering it as, on a non-linear level as much as you are at a linear level every time you speak. I mean, it's so appreciative. I mean, it's like, it really is, it's so helpful in the learning of it. So it is actually remembered, physically remembered, emotionally remembered. I mean, I really, when you were explaining the difference of a shamanic initiation and said that, it was like, that's it. That definitely there.
That knowledge, and the knowledge of all the different levels, how to address all the different levels, how to be what you're teaching. You have to be it so that you can teach it properly and bestow others with the entire picture, and with all of the energies, all the information for all levels. And that's what we do. That's what we're passing on.
Yeah.
I want to kind of jump in here, and you talked about what it brings to a healing work, and how energized you are, because you know how to manipulate the energy and access it and share it, not from yourself but from the field, from the universe. And it's incredible how it affects the approach to healing, but just everyday life. I mean, I remember I needed naps when I first started to study. I had to have a nap every day. Now I don't, a nap doesn't even cross my mind. I go from 5 a.m. till 8 at night, and not stressfully, just enjoying, but there's no desire for any rest, really. Sitting down and enjoying moments and stuff, yeah, of course, or being in the sun, but I don't need to go lay down and recuperate. I think that's a big important part that changed with having access to all that energy and all these teachings and the knowledge. But what I wanted to ask you is, you spoke to happiness, to the initiation, to the source of happiness. But there's also the initiations to the source of power. And want to describe that a little more?
Our power is our attention. It's not force. It's not, a masculine swollen muscle. It's not power over others. That way of living is mechanical. It's very physical, 3D time space, physical, limited. And people get worn out really fast in trying to live that way, operate that way all the time. Whether they're being real physical, or they're just talking, or they're yelling, or they're, it ends up with all the same energies and the same exertion of the body energy. And it doesn't go very far. We're living in a world that's controlled by that kind of energy, that way of thinking. And that's the world that's falling apart. The ancients refer to it as the upside down, backwards turning wheel energy. We made an entire culture on that energy. And it only tears things apart. It tears the people apart. It tears the world apart, tears everything apart. It destroys. And real power is our attention. And we learn that, intellectually in the very beginning, because it's a whole new thought. It's a whole new concept that we hadn't heard before, most of us. And then we get into the initiations and the ceremonies, and we use the attention. We learn how to increase our focus, focusing our attention and holding it on something and just staying there and not being distracted. Could stay there all day or a day after day after day after day without being distracted. And we learn how to do this, how to keep improving our attention and our focus. And it makes a huge difference in the actual power that we have in our body, the energy that of all kinds, energies that we have access to in our bodies and our health. And like Helmut said, last through the day without needing to go take a nap. And we know people who've had to take more than one nap in a day. And this changes that whole dynamic. This way of learning, this power heals your whole body, the happiness, the love, the beauty, the ecstaticness of these teachings and this way of life heals every aspect of your body and continues to do so. With this kind of focus and power of attention, that's how we manage to do healings and actually heal, help somebody fix a broken bone and fix a failing organ and all kinds of things. That's how we manage to have the power to do that, is through the focus, through the attention. And that's, you could kind of say that's a bottom line of the teaching. That's one of the things that makes this machinery run. And these teachings have been around, they say, for tens of thousands of years on Earth. But they're also coming from the stars. That's where we learned them first, was from the star people, the people who came here to help us and teach us. And who knows how long it's been around on their planets or the worlds that they live in. But when you come in contact with that kind of well-developed power, you feel it. You may not have any words to describe it, but you feel it and you know it. And people who've had this kind of training and developing this power, it never stops developing. Up to the day you die in this lifetime, you're working on more, better, finer, longer concentration and attention and using the energies. And when you come across people like that, you feel, there's no other way to say it. We don't have the language in English to describe it accurately. But you pick up on it, you feel it, whether you're initiated or not. you know that they have something. They have some kind of something going on with their energy and their mind and their clarity and their focus. I think that's one of the things that really drew me in the most when I met two of my teachers, Damano and Chia Hedega. This power. I never seen an older woman like that have that kind of power and physical energy and ability. For me, women over 50 were, starting to need help doing stuff. They were sitting in the front porch in the rocking chair. And having that kind of an everyday Muggle life, like we've been talking about, we use that word Muggle lovingly, as the modern cultural way of doing things and how people have been living in our culture. And they lose their focus. And with every year we've seen since we've been born, in our lifetime, every year that has passed, the kids are losing more and more and more of their attention, and people and the adults. They're not able to concentrate. They're not able to focus. They can't hold their attention on anything. And there's a lot of reasons for that. That's one of the biggest problems with our modern upside down, backwards turning wheel culture. It's got to be fixed. It's crumbling. It crumbles of its own weight. That's what the ancients used to say, that the backwards turning wheel, upside down, backwards turning wheel, just crumbles of its own weight, the quality of what it is. It destroys itself. And it's been destroying itself for thousands of years. And we're at that point of seeing the end of that world. We're at that point, and the ancients talked about that. They talked about it, described it. At the end of this particular world, as they would say, time for a new world, a new way of living, and a new way of thinking about things. And that's what we address. That's what we talk about. That's what ceremonies are about. Fixing yourself, helping to fix everybody else.
Beautiful.
Fabulous.
Thank you. Yep. I think you covered it.
Hooked it.
Hooked it. I'm excited for another round.
Yeah.
Taking this level 1 again. I think this is my 4th or 5th time going through it. It just keeps getting better.
That's one thing about this way of teaching, these kinds of classes that we have in our ceremonies, compared to so many of these other classes that people don't repeat so much in the other classes.
No, they know it already.
That's the whole idea. You take the weekend class, you know it all already, you get your certificate, and you can go teach it yourself. And it's all happens in 2 or 3 days. And that's not the way it happens with the ancient teachings. It actually never stops. There's always more. There's always new, more, better, grander pieces of information and teachings that just go on and on and on. A teacher never stops learning, and the students never stop learning in this path. If you like learning, if you like these exotic kind of things, this is the biggest yummy goodie store that you could think of. So
That's for sure.
It's really an understatement, but yes.
Oh, okay.
Not the right words for it, but it never is.
The students repeat many classes, pretty much all of them when they can. They repeat them over and over and over. And you have the option to take that material home with you and study it. It gets deep.
It's deep.
Oh, love it. Any other thoughts, Laura?
Oh, I have lots of thoughts, but I think for the next time. I mean, we sometimes call this the fountain of youth, because it really, I don't know, it's well, not only did it save my life, but I think it's reversing a lot of damage that had happened in my life on all those body levels, physical, emotional, mental. And I think a lot of times people look at me and and ask what I'm doing, and I'm like, I'm doing this. Come on over. It's great. But yeah, I think I'll save some of my other thoughts and questions for chats, because I feel like they're big and deep and juicy. I want to get more into some of the powerful things that people will learn. I think I'll hold my tongue for a period.
All right.
Not too long.
All right. I had a Zoom call with my nephew in Austria the other day. And he said again, "You look 10 years younger." We hear that.
We hear
from
that.
time to time.
Yeah.
We had a dinner party with a couple of other couples that we'd known for many years, but hadn't seen them for quite a while, and they were just amazed at the energy level, the health, the good health, the youngerness of the whole body, and one guy leaned over the table and he said, "You haven't aged."
Okay. On that note, sticking with the mini idea. Thank you so much. Thank you both so much. Thank you everybody for joining. Always such a pleasure to see you there live. And keep an eye and ear out for our next announcements. We're going to do more of those more often, and we're going to jump on the spur of the moment, more or less. So thank you. Love you. See you next time.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, Laura.
Love you.